So for people listening, which tools, because you can't see everyone, what tools somebody they're grappling in a relationship or, okay, they're grappling with a relationship.
Yeah.
What should they look at first? What's the first thing? Is it the four
That's
pillars that I talked about in the opening?
okay. So I want to talk about these things because they matter. And I'm just going to give you four, but within each one, there's a subset of other things. First, we have to define what these things are. And I will say that over the years that I've been in practice, which is many, and over the time that I've seen couples, which are many, and studied and learned and done research, I've distilled these ingredients to distilled all this knowledge to the four ingredients that I think are essential to healthy, loving, and thriving relationships. And here they are. Or we could talk about them individually because I want to hear about, what you think of these things too, because these things are things that, live in my mind, but they're continually developing and they're applicable to different couples in different ways. And I will preface, it's not just couples. If you're in a polyamorous relationship, this stuff is relevant too. It isn't just for couples. It isn't just for people in marriage. It's for people developing healthy romantic partnerships or relationships altogether. So here they are: gratitude, empathy, intimacy, and play. And I will say, if a couple is thriving in three of those four areas, they're doing really well, but attention needs to be given to all the areas. Now, can every couple or every relationship maintain 100% of each of these areas? Heck no. It's like absolutely impossible. We have lives, we have stress, we have our own emotions. It's absolutely impossible for any couple to be at the top of their game 24/7. It's not human, it's not possible, and certainly it's not sustainable. It's possible. The awareness of each of these areas and the way in which we develop and project these things is necessary, however, right? So if you know that you take each other for granted, that no one says thank you, even for the smallest things, then that will start to wear on a relationship. So I oftentimes, when I have couples who are incredibly, let me just say this. When I have couples that come that have issues, infidelity, communication, built up resentment, oftentimes the first homework assignment, the first tiny, tiny shift that I ask couples to make is to start saying thank you for everything. You took out the trash. Okay, that's your duty. That's your chore. I want you to say thank you anyway to your partner. You did the dishes. Oh, that's what you've done for the last 20 years. I don't care. You need to say thank you to your partner. And the reason I do that is there's a number of reasons I do that, Lauren. One of which, at some point, often in relationships, we forget to see the contributions of the other, and therefore we forget to see the other and the way in which they contribute to our life and our well-being. And so thank you is a physical, tangible way in which I can say to you that I see you and that I could see what you're doing on behalf of our family or for the health of our relationship. It's so small, but Lauren, you wouldn't believe how difficult it is for couples to say thank you. Often what I hear is, why should I say thank you? I do this, and this, and I don't expect a thank you. So why should I say thank you for you taking out the trash? It's that small, but what does it tell me though? It tells me a great deal because it isn't about the thank you. I always tell couples, you came in here about the dirty laundry. It ain't ever about the dirty laundry. There's issues beneath the dirty laundry and there's reasons beneath why you came. So oftentimes it's about unearthing that, asking the harder questions about what led you here. What is this laundry actually symbolic of? What is this really about? And my work is to look for patterns and try to generously reinterpret what one person is saying to the other and create a space where they can feel heard and seen, even loved in a part of at a time in their life where maybe they haven't. So those are the four things. We could talk about them individually, but I will tell you, if anybody is listening and you're having a hard time with your partner, try saying thank you for the littlest, tiniest things and see how huge of a shift it might actually create in your relationship.
I always say when I'm getting angry, my husband, I'll write a gratitude list for him and go, oh, he's so great. Because my friends and I exchange gratitude lists every day.
Right.
And we've done that for years. So and then so I turn that around, like, and people go, but I'm not feeling grateful. I go, that's not the point. It's by the time you get to the end of the list that you feel
Yes.
grateful. You don't have to
Yes.
when you start, it's at the end. And so
That's
it
right.
works in your relationship also. So while you go, like you're going, oh yeah, I forgot they're okay.
They're
No,
okay.
they're a good person. Oh yeah. Oh, I like them, or I love them and they're great.
Or
That's
I married them for a reason, or
yeah,
I've
that's a
chosen.
good attitude adjustment, like that's quick and easy, and do 20 things. 10 if 20 is too many, like
Yeah, or even 3, because, I mean, to your point, Lauren,
yeah, yeah.
oftentimes, if there is
Okay.
something you're not grateful for and it needs to be addressed in a really productive way, it cannot be a productive conversation if you come at it from a place of anger and resentment. So the gratitude list doesn't mean you're bypassing the things that
Yeah.
concern you or annoy you, and you're pretending or, putting things under the rug, which is an unhealthy dynamic. You're just saying, let me get grounded enough. Let me really capture the essence of what's going on here so that it isn't a projection of something that I'm incredibly, incredibly upset about that is yet to be filtered or processed or digested properly. So I think your mechanism is brilliant. Number one, and it's probably much more meaningful for a productive, constructive conversation later. Because when we do, I always talk to couples, the difference between constructive anger and destructive anger. So their anger, oftentimes people shy away from anger, or they use anger in a way that could be incredibly destructive and unhelpful and unsupportive. But anger can be incredibly constructive because it's an indicator that something's off or a boundary has been crossed. And so the brilliance of it is that when we lean into these emotions in a healthy and productive way, we can actually use them as guides for addressing issues that really need to be addressed.
Yeah. Okay. So when you talk about intimacy as being one of the pillars, I don't think you're only talking about sex here.
No, gosh, no, absolutely. So maybe we should define intimacy, because intimacy, everyone would define it differently. But to your point, I think a lot of people would conflate intimacy with sex. Now, is sex intimate, an act of intimacy? For sure. But is intimacy have to include sex? It does not. So intimacy is any act or movement that creates deeper connection. It could be sexual, it could be sensual, it could be erotic, it could be platonic. But there is a sense of intimacy in that it allows us to move closer and dive deeper into the connectedness of others. But let me tell you, this is the danger of intimacy. It requires risk and vulnerability.
Right. So
Not
when you
a
don't,
lot.
how do you, when you're not feeling safe because your walls go up, what do you do then?
Well, it really depends on the situation, right? So if you feel unsafe, we have to tackle and create parameters for safety. So I will say this: in order to cultivate a sense of trust that the place is safe or the person is safe, we have to take a risk. Now, I often tell people you have to take risks that aren't too high cost, that don't come at a cost. Small risks on a daily basis, holding someone's hand, rubbing someone's shoulder, see if there's a responsiveness. If there's a responsiveness in this, what we, the Gottmans did a lot of research and termed this dance, as you're well aware of, this dance, this cycle of making a bid, and the responsiveness to the bid is the movement from one person to the other to try to engage the other person to come back toward us as well. And so these are the small risks we take little by little by little, right? I test my husband all the time. I'm just like, is he responding to my bid? He has no clue that it's happening. I'm literally like, I'm doing research on him like often. Actually, when we first started dating years ago, people were like, is he your case study? Like, we don't understand how you two ended up together because you're so different. And so I always joke, yes, he's my case study. I am studying him. But it's fascinating, right? Like, if we're in the car and I'm like, oh, look at this, babe, and if he responds, I'm like, great, he's with me. We don't have, I don't have to keep tackling him, but it's a joy, right? Like, so these are the small risks we could take because they're low stakes. It isn't, you're not putting your entire heart and soul out there in these micro moments. And then over time, you develop trust to create that safety. So I would say low stakes first, build trust, build some confidence, higher stakes.
I'm also thinking all that childhood stuff. Yeah, we've got the stuff. You're like,
Yes.
I'm out. and when you
Yes.
disengage and all of that kind of stuff, just it has nothing to do with the person you're with. It's
Not
your
even.
stuff.